Hello everyone, this is Joe Pilla, your pop culture monger, and that little opening was an ode to the opening credits of The Young and the Restless, which has been on the air for 45 years, and I've watched it since day one. Yes, judge me all you want. Anyway, I added a little music to this video because we've gotten some feedback that maybe we need a theme song, so I'm going to try out some new things from time to time. But you may notice that it's just me. There's no Rich. He couldn't make it today. And it wasn't due to a lack of trying. I offered him a home-cooked meal, including his favorite tater tots, and he still had other priorities. I'm not hurt. I'm not. So we're going to talk about a few things today. First and foremost, some feedback. I have changed the direction of the video today because oftentimes you do it on a bright sunny day. Today it's a gray day, so I thought this would be nice. This is the view of Manhattan from Long Island City. And another thing that people have been talking about is the ceiling. So you can see I have a ceiling, but well, that was weird. Why did I do that? I decided to be very close up since Rich isn't here. It makes it a little bit easier. And other people have said, you know, you and Rich get along great. Are you dating? Are you together? And the answer is no, we are not. I have a husband. I have a ring. You people are so dirty. So let's get started. What are we going to talk about today? First, it's Monday. It is April 30th, and over the weekend we had the Washington Correspondents' Dinner. And I'm not sure when you're watching this, but there's been a great deal of controversy around Michelle Wolf's performance as the stand-up comedian and basically the roaster-in-chief, because the idea behind this is that it's a roast. It's been going on for several decades, maybe 40 or 50 decades. The only time a president hadn't attended before Trump last year was when Ronald Reagan was shot and he was in the hospital. And even though he was in the hospital, he still called in. So the format's always been the media invites celebrities, they have a party. It's basically a fundraiser for young journalists. You have a comedian, they make fun of the current administration. The president gets up and they make some retorts. You might remember Barack Obama did a bunch of retorts towards Donald Trump, and some say that's why he ran for president. So I don't want to be political on these videos, but I think it's really telling that Michelle Wolf made a few comments about Kellyanne Conway and Sarah Sanders Huckabee. Other people in the room, Reince Priebus, loved the joke about him. And they're saying that she went over the line. And I really couldn't disagree. Because she was making fun of the people that were there. And that's what happens. You ever watched a Dean Martin roast or a Comedy Central roast? That's the whole point. And she didn't call anybody ugly. She made a joke about Sarah Sanders saying that she must burn the facts and use those ashes to do a smoky eye. She didn't say beautiful, but it was cosmetic in the punchline, but the whole point was she's using the facts, she's burning the facts, and that's the issue. So I take exception to that. And I think it's a bunch of BS, and it's getting a little bit too much attention because she was doing what was done. And other people in the administration have called people big fat pigs and slobs, and they still got elected president. So we'll leave it at that. But the other good news that we're talking about very excitedly is Kathy Griffin is back. She's on tour. She sold out Carnegie Hall in less than 24 hours, and she's using her recent experience with the administration to her favor, making lots of jokes. And if you haven't seen it, she was on The View this morning. I know it's sold out today, right? But Rich wasn't here to edit my topics. And she's back and she's cursing like a bandit. And I posted the video of her on The View to the Pop Culture Monger site on Facebook. So check that out. And then we need to talk a little bit about TV. This weekend I caught up on The Handmaid's Tale. I watched episode 1 of season 2. And I just have to say, this show is scary. All I have to say is there are scenes in this opening episode of season 2 where a little thing like how a person with authority speaks to you indicates the future of this dystopian society where women's rights are taken away. And the women that are still fertile are used as breeders, basically, literally and only. And all the consequences that come with it when you are not towing the company line. And I was really, really surprised at the turn it takes. And if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it for you, but check it out. They're doing a lot with this show. And I read a couple of articles about it. And one of the things they talked about was the use of Elizabeth Moss's voice. Because she is the narrator, she's the main character, she's what's her name? Afred, I think is her name. And then in her name before she was a handmaiden was June. So that's really important to this season. But what I find really interesting is how these subtle authoritarian items are foreshadowing what's going to happen. And these two intelligent people are not seeing the writing on the wall. And it's just really, really scary. And I think everybody should watch it. If you haven't seen it, it really is phenomenal. Final topic for today, and I'm doing them all together because Rich is in here and I don't really understand how to use iMovie and edit things, and if you upload more than 15 minutes at a time, it gives you an error message and it's a mess. So if anybody out there knows how to use iMovie, I am available for a training session. But I want to talk about the daytime Emmys, and that's taking it back to the Young and the Restless theme song that we used in the beginning. These awards have been off broadcast television for about 3 or 4 years now, and I watched it last night on YouTube. It was kind of annoying, but the show in general was really good. And I think it was really good because the producers paid tribute to the history of daytime TV, which are soap operas, game shows, talk shows, and now they're even including digital series, which is an interesting way to include them. But what was great was Peter Marshall, the longtime host of the Hollywood Squares and the original host of the Hollywood Squares, was on, and he kind of railroaded the host's monologue. Mario Lopez of Extra and Cheryl Underwood of The Talk hosted the show, and they were game for it. He was great. But he came back again later when Tom Bergeron, the host of Dancing with the Stars, was presenting an award. And that was funny because Tom Bergeron took over the Hollywood Squares from Peter Marshall. He's 92, so he was in his 70s and they didn't have him back when Tom Bergeron did it. But it was just funny to see the two of them together. What I liked was, sorry, I hit the table. What I liked was Tom Bergeron is somebody that Rich and I always say is made for live TV. And what Peter Marshall's shtick was, he basically started to tell stories about his life and who he knew in the audience, just calling people out left, right, and center. And it was pretty hysterical. The winners last night were across the board, touching on everyone. I think everyone won an award in the talk show circuit except The View, Ryan and Kelly, and Megyn Kelly. So if you had a Kelly in there, you were out. But Wayne Brady won Best Game Show Host for the Let's Make a Deal. See, Rich is in here to help me. Let's Make a Deal, and he tried to play him off the stage, but he pulled a Julia Roberts and told him to just suck it. He wasn't going anywhere after 9 years of being nominated. But also Price is Right won Best Game Show, and then when it came to talk shows, The Talk won Best Show, and The Real won Best Hosts. And nothing makes me happier than Lonnie Love running up to the Emmys, like giving it to me. She was really just hysterical and pure and funny and authentic. And I used to watch her on Chelsea Lately, and she'd often talk about Peaches, who would do her hair, and the power of brown liquor to have her make poor sexual decisions. So it was very, very funny. And on the soap opera dramas, it was really interesting because Days of Our Lives have two original stars. One of the original stars, Susan Seaforth Hayes, and her husband Bill Hayes, who met and married on the show, and they've been across many different shows throughout the years. But they gave an amazing speech where they sang the first line and then they ended the line. I think they said, "This is daytime," or something to that effect. But it was the opening credits for one of the early season 2 shows. But what they did that was amazing was she said a line, he said a line, and they went through this entire speech. And then he told the story of how daytime television has changed over time, how their networks have just put the screws down with shorter budgets, smaller casts, just really being cost conscious. And they talked about when they were on the shows, how the shows portrayed changes in society, racial tension, and different things that were of the time. What I find so interesting is now, this year, Days of Our Lives won Best Show, Best Writing, and Best Directing. And they are the only show currently that has a progressive LGBT storyline. They're the only show that's ever had, I believe, a love triangle with same-sex couples. So they have 3 men in a love triangle. And the Hayes' point was, in order for a daytime drama to succeed, it has to take chances and take the audience to places it hasn't been before. And that was really telling because Cameron Grimes, she's a young actress who won an award for playing a recently bisexual character who's in her young 20s. And she was honored for that. And it's one of the only progressive things Young and the Restless has done in a really long time. They have an amazing story going on now about Alzheimer's with Marla Adams, who plays one of the longtime actresses who comes and goes all the time. And I just think that if daytime wants to succeed, it has to start to use what's going on in the world. I know the advertisers are frightened. They want to keep the company line or keep everything safe. But the reality is that research has shown that consumers want brands to take a stand. So if you're advertising on a soap opera and you stand for LGBT rights or marriage equality or stand with DACA, there's some potential to educate the mass population, the older generation especially, on new ways of thinking. So I think that what's happening is we're not seeing the drama being used in daytime as it's being used in prime time and on cable. And if they want to succeed, maybe they need to rethink that. So that's pretty much all I have. I'm looking down at my notes. We haven't talked about the Avengers. I did see it Friday night. Rich is going this week, so we will definitely talk about that. But in the meantime, check out the Facebook page because I uploaded a video today from the Late Late Show starring James Corden. And if you watch the late night video that we talked about who's doing well in late night, I kind of trashed him. But I'm going to take it back because he has a video with a double-decker bus with all the Avengers going through LA. And it is really, really funny. So please subscribe to the page. Please follow us on Facebook. And just tell us what you think. We're hoping to do these just to kind of rant and rave on our own, on my own sometimes. And happy to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much. Where is the thing?